Okay. Did someone hear it going off?
Yes, thank you so much.
All right.
So apologies to our audience. You would have seen our group members, and now onto the agenda. The first things we're going to do is the icebreaker, followed by the introduction, then a summary of Unit 1. Any questions that you may have, you will be invited to ask them at the end. Now to our icebreaker. Can someone or all of you just place in the chat, how was your day? How are you feeling today? And let us know by way of the emojis. I'm going to do that.
Okay, Cherise, I want you to encourage them to speak in the mic as well. It goes off more effectively, all right? So don't use a chat. Encourage them to speak in the mic. Thanks.
No problem. Feel free as well to unmute and to let us know. I'm looking for the tired emoji while you're doing that.
Tired emoji. Extremely exhausted due to sports season at my school. So I'm extremely tired. That's a tired emoji.
Oh dear. Thank you for sharing. Someone has a sleepy emoji and seems to be a bit confused. Crystal is like, oh my goodness. So thank you so much for participating. The next question: what is one thing that you would change in the world if you had the opportunity to do so today? Again, you have both options of unmuting your mic, please talk back to us, or you can type it in the chat.
Yeah, Regan, I think we should normalize 3-day work weeks, or probably 4-day work weeks.
Can you repeat that again?
We should normalize 4-day work weeks.
Ford, I totally endorse that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else? What is one thing that you would change in the world if you had the chance to do that? Kristen Graves, more love and kindness. I totally support that. Hello to you.
Hi, with the gentleman who just spoke, I would like to agree with him. We should have 4-day work week, you know, 4 days for work and 3 weekends.
I totally
Actually,
agree.
4.
Thank you.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Thank you so much. Make it more even. Thank you. I see Crystal is supporting that as well. So now that we have done our icebreakers, we're going to go on to a summary of Unit 1. So this course, Youth Development Work 3000, will introduce learners to partnerships and professional networking, and will examine the persons who are involved globally, whether it be internationally, regionally, and on the national level. Additionally, learners will be able to map the youth sector in their respective countries and in their region, paying particular attention to legislation, policy, and programmatic approaches, organizational structures, and occupational health. We're also going to look at areas of funding and technical assistance for youth development projects, and engage in skills that would enhance working with parents and community workers. I will now pass over to my colleague, Anne.
So in Unit 1, we will examine the regional youth sector and the youth development efforts, as well as contemporary youth development activities focused at tackling current difficulties confronting our Caribbean youth today. In addition, we will also discuss national and regional problems concerning youth development work, such as legislation, policy, and funding. And finally, we will look at the concepts of a national youth development agenda, as well as its goals and major components. So according to Kalantozopoulos, 2003, young people are the custodians of our society and the trustees of prosperity for future generations. And despite the numerous challenges that our Caribbean youth face today, we as youth workers must maintain these perspectives and provide opportunities for our young people to feel empowered to make positive contributions within their Caribbean territories, thereby promoting national and regional development. So we as youth workers, our responsibility is to advocate for our young people. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to look at a survey that was conducted by the United Nations. And the topic of this survey was to look at contemporary youth development issues. So they received over 9 million votes for all countries and country groups, and also all genders at all educational levels and all age groups. So this is a very comprehensive survey that was done. And the priority of needs, they ranked from a good education, then you will see better healthcare, better job opportunities coming down at 4 million votes, and honest and responsive government, followed by affordable and nutritious food, protection against crime and violence, access to clean water and sanitation, support for people who can't work, better transport and roads, equality between men and women, reliable energy at home, political freedoms follow with 2.7 million votes. Then we have freedom from discrimination and persecution, protecting forests, and the last two in the pecking order, as it were, are phone and internet access and action taken on climate change. The source is UN My World 2015 Global Survey Analytics. Thank you.
So having just viewed this graph with these issues that are faced worldwide, do you think, class, that these issues are also being faced in the Caribbean today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So according to the Caribbean Commission on Youth Development 2010, they listed the following as issues facing youth in the Caribbean. And these included labor and unemployment, education, health and well-being, crime and violence, sports, culture and recreation, migration, governance, and politics and participation. So, news just in. We have our team reporter, Ms. Crystal Lewis, on scene, and she brings you this report.
The 2020 budget presentation of one of our Caribbean countries, Trinidad and Tobago, sought to highlight and place a special emphasis on youth development. A youth development advocate expressed the importance of the academic opportunities given to youth of the country in that interview. He explained that due to COVID-19, there has been a greater demand and increase in farming. He sees that farming can be introduced through a new ministry which was established in order to encourage youth to become great entrepreneurs and should also be given grants for assistance. The lack of access to information for youth from the rural parts of Trinidad and Tobago have impeded on the level of ignorance and should be improved on. Key factors of practice and awareness would greatly assist in the direction for that much needed improvement. While youth development is normally promoted via activities and experiences which helps the young people develop a great amount of social, ethical, physical, and cognitive competencies, there are programs which assist with gaining employment after school. This new ministry will heavily emphasize on access in order to educate the youth on various opportunities.
Issues relating to youth development work. Youth development allows young people the opportunity to grow and develop life skills as they get prepared to meet challenges of adolescent and adulthood while they achieve their full potential. Youth are seen as major source of human capital and key agents in development. Despite youth being key agents of development, they also encounter issues and challenges in society. Unit 1.2 highlights issues and challenges that are associated with youth development. Some of these issues and challenges including lack of employment opportunity and health, etc. Thank you. I now hand over to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. Youth development shifts from problem focus to positive focus. From youth as problems to youth as resources. From reactive behavior to proactive behavior. From troubled youth to all youth. From professionals' role to everyone's job. From programs to relationships. From competition to cooperation. And finally, from despair to hope. Thank you.
So now we have session 1.3, the National Youth Development Agenda Summary. The key components of a National Youth Development Agenda are the core values and philosophy. This is broken down into youth participation, resourcing strategy, legislative or policy framework, program content, and stakeholder involvement. A national youth policy is important for the development and advancement of youth. It consists of the following: background and historical context, definition of youth situational analysis, as we may have done in previous courses, vision, policy goals, and objectives.
So sorry. Strategic priorities, programs and projects, implementation strategy, and monitoring and evaluation strategy. Let's watch this video. Please excuse us for a minute while we sort out this technical issue. So it seems like our lovely video that we have prepared for you is not working. So I think what we can do with our tutor's permission is to share it with you after the class. But in the meanwhile, we can restart the presentation and we can get into some true and false questions to see how many of us were paying attention. So remember, we would have looked at that graph that was done by the United Nations. So please arrange the following answers in the order of priority as it appeared on the graph. You have better opportunities, protection against crime and violence, action being taken on climate change, good education, and equality. These came in a particular order, and if anybody gets these right, you will have to get a virtual prize. So I'm seeing.
Okay, so that we can all participate, let's do them one at a time. So we'll ask persons, they can do the chat or they can use the mic and tell us which one comes first. Go ahead,
Thank
class.
you so much. So which one comes first? I'm seeing in the chat, someone said education first. Does anyone have a different opinion? Or are we all going with education first? Okay, someone else
Education
says.
first.
Okay, so we have two, education first. Tamain says equality. Okay. So the correct answer was education. What was the second issue or second key area affecting youth? After education, what do you recall the second issue was?
Better job opportunity.
Who said that? I have to have your name.
Oh, I'm Anne.
Anis, okay,
Very
thank
fast.
you so much.
You're welcome.
So Crystal Smith Peter says crime and violence is the second one. Anyone else? What do you think? And just put yourself in the shoes of these youth, and some of you might actually be within this age bracket, unlike myself. But after you have better job opportunities, after you have good education, then you have better job opportunities. What do you think is the next most pressing issue that you face based on the graph? So we have good education, then better job opportunities. Okay, Chanel is saying equality is after that. Any alternative? Pardon?
Protection against crime and violence.
Okay, so we have the third one as protection against crime and violence. Tyler also says crime and violence. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on this. Which one came in second? Was that better job opportunities?
Yes, that was the correct answer.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a tie between, yes, we have two answers, one being equality and the next being crime and violence. And the answer is protection against crime and violence. Then I would just skip to the next one since it was so close, which is indeed equality between women and men, leaving action taken on climate change as being the final answer. So if you got most of those right, we just want to commend you for that. Yay. So on to the next question.
I'm sorry, the last one was action being taken against what?
Climate change.
Climate change.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. And between phone and internet access, what do you think? Do you think that that is higher in priority than better healthcare for youth between this age group? Or do you think that better healthcare would be first in priority?
Based on the graph that was shown, this is an
Yes, correct. Based on the graph still.
Oh, it will be better healthcare.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Who said that?
Miss Annette.
Oh, wonderful. Top of the class. So we have a resounding answer, which is better healthcare, and you all are correct. This question would have been false. That phone and internet access is not higher in priority than better healthcare for youth. So thank you so much.
I have a question. No, go back to that one. Go back to that one.
Sure.
On a realistic point of view, though, if you were to ask a youth, working with youth, which one would you think they would prioritize? Anyone can answer that, and why?
And internet.
For sure, phone and internet.
Yes.
Phone and internet.
Most definitely.
Most definitely phone and internet.
Okay, all right. That's why we have to be advocate for youth, because their parents alone cannot be advocates for them, because they will definitely choose phone and internet as a priority in their lives. All right, you can continue, group one. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll hand over to my colleague.
Okay, so question. True or false? Poverty, gender-based, education, and employment are some of the issues in youth development. Do you think that this is true or false? Some of the issues being faced.
True.
Okay, we have one true. I guess everybody is true. Then the correct answer would be true. Question 2. Social responsibility is not a critical issue in youth development. Think about it. Is it true or false?
All right, before we answer, can group one explain to us what do you mean by social responsibilities?
Okay, so when we look at social responsibility, right, we're looking at it speaks about developing adolescent social skills while enabling them to be active and responsible members in society or in a community.
What are some of these social skills?
Okay, some of these social skills we're looking at. I have it written down it.
Critical thinking and it's the group should answer, or anyone can answer.
Anyone can answer.
Anyone can answer it.
So based on my understanding, social skills will be critical thinking skills, problem solving, as well as other skills that will carry you through society in terms of how you speak to someone, communication, and other etiquettes, how you function in society, the things you say, the things you do, how you rap with your peers, rapport with your neighbors and community members.
Very good. Yeah,
Okay, that's
decorum. Yeah. Okay. All
okay.
right.
So other examples of social skills, we could look at our facial expression, to body language, how we greet people, how to share and follow directions in society. So those things are some other examples of social responsibilities. So what do we say the answer is?
So it would be false.
Okay, then. That's correct. I hand you over to Elizabeth now.
Thank you. Question number 3. We do not have to give up on youth if they experience serious problems and do not have adequate support, guidance, or opportunities in their immediate environment. True or false? Can you hear me?
True.
True. Yes, we should not give up. And that's why, as youth workers, we are told that we should value partnership, networking, and collaboration with other organizations. Because at times we are not able to provide everything for them. So when we connect with other agencies, we'll be able to get solutions to their problems. Question number 4. Communities should express a commitment to learning how they can organize to implement a positive youth development approach for their young people. True or false?
True.
True.
Yeah, that's very true, because it has been acknowledged that families and neighborhoods are the primary venue for youth development. These young people are from the community, and therefore the community at large should support our young people, because the goal for the society as a whole is to ensure that all young people have equal access to necessary support and opportunities. So it is very true. Thank you.
All right, moving on to session 1.3, another session of true or false questions. So question number 1, the National Youth Development Agenda looks at the sum of policies and programs made and enforced in order to foster the empowerment of a nation's youth. It also works as a guide and encourages active participation in the national development process, including a reflection of the national vision for youth. Is that true or is it false?
True.
True.
And that is correct. Moving on to question number 2. Some of the core components of the National Youth Development Agenda does not include the following: a philosophy, legislative and policy framework, and a program content. Can anyone tell me if this statement is true or is it false?
False.
Correct. Question number 3. A national youth policy provides opportunity for government to engage the youth and other stakeholders in meaningful partnerships to develop appropriate interventions and services for youth empowerment. Is that true or is it false?
True. True.
And I gave away the answer for the last one, but I'll still read it. While some of the national youth policies are formulated through a youth-led initiative, many of these policies are not formulated through consultant-led initiatives. That was supposed to be false. And I'll hand you over to Crystal, who will conclude our presentation for the night.
Good evening, everyone. So let us recap. Our presentation basically captivated Unit 1's mapping the regional and national youth sector. In session 1, team members emphasized on the challenges which youth faced within the regional sector. Focus was made on labor, education, migration, and many other issues. Within the second session, the team broke down the issues relating to youth development work. And for that, emphasis was placed on health and employment opportunities, just to name a few. And in the final session, our team explained basically the key components involved in a youth development agenda. And when we looked at the youth development agenda, our key factors included core values, philosophy, program content, and a few others as well. Now, with that said, we, the members of Group 1, we would like to say a heartfelt thank you for participation and for the support that we received this evening. Not to mention the special accommodation that was made by Ms. Edwards. Thank you very much for accommodating us this evening. We really look forward to the rest of the presentations, and we do also plan to give our fullest support to everyone as it was given to us this evening. So that's it for us for now. We're just saying a big heartfelt thank you once again, and we wish you a very blessed evening. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Group 1. Well done, well done. Okay, I'm sure we all learned, because I've learned something new that I didn't pick up before. All right, so I'm going to throw out 2 questions. So that will take us up to 8 o'clock. And anyone can answer, whether you're from the group or not, you can answer. So this will be your personal answers now, based on what you understand is going on in your country. We're going to talk about some real life situation now. So Group 1 mentioned the key areas affecting youths. Good education. Now, thinking about your country, where you're now, where you are now, and where you used to be, do you think your country is offering better education for the youths? Think about where you're coming from when you were much younger. Do you think your country is now it's now better, and why do you say so? So anyone can take the mic and express themselves. Go ahead.
Okay, for me, Claudine here, I think the education sector in St. Lucia, it has grown. The reason why I say this, back in my days, a lot of the courses and the opportunities that the young people have now, we were not being offered that in the past. When it came to education, some of the subjects, right now students have more subjects, they have more privileges than I had in my time when I was going to school. So the education sector, I think it has really grown.
Claudine, you mentioned subjects. Give us 2 subjects that they have now that you weren't privy to.
Okay, in some of the primary schools, they started teaching the students French from primary school, and also physical education. Yes, there were physical education in school. However, it wasn't part of a CXC syllabus, but now it is part of the CXC syllabus.
Okay, very good. And tell me now, what you think caused this growth, this new development? What network or partnership may have been involved? What came about for this change?
I think what came about for the change, that's what I think. I think it has to do with how would I say, is it advocacy, persons speaking on it, persons realizing that young people needed experience, needed early experience in life, so they would be able to better equip themselves when they get to the teenage. That's what I think.
Miss, can I also help out because I'm also from St. Lucia?
Okay, all right. So Tyler, that's Tyler, right?
Yes, that's Tyler.
Okay.
Miss, I also think it has to do with St. Lucia wanting to offer universal education. This is a project that was started by one of the governments sometime, I think, back in the early 2000s. And also, most of the stuff that we do, we take our templates from the more international countries. So a lot of what they do, we tend to copycat on it. So a lot of those subjects that she mentioned, music, French, physical education, it has been incorporated now into all aspects of the primary school level so that the students are more exposed to it. And now you can actually get all those things, even on a degree level. And in terms of the secondary schools, now they offer associate degrees in mechanical engineering, in tourism at the A level. And those are things that I never got. And when my niece, who attends A level now, tells me some of the subjects she has access to, I even think law and stuff like that. Honestly, I feel jealous because they didn't offer us those things in our time. Now, Miss, on the other end of the spectrum, I still think there is a lot of work to be done in terms of the education, because we had a situation in St. Lucia where there were some schools that were technical, vocational, and then you had other schools that were academic. Because as we all know, there are some students, the academic is just not for them. But what has happened is that they have literally closed these schools and they've made all of them academic. And when that occurred, honestly, it hit my heart and so many persons were disappointed. And then you have all of these students falling through the cracks. Recently, I was doing some studies in terms of literacy, and I've been speaking to the literacy coordinators in the south of the island. And they're telling me one of the things, a Form 5 student testing his level, he's only at the level 1, which is like almost, let's say, kindergarten or grade, and yet still they were able to go through the system. So it tells you that although we have advanced so greatly in our education system, there's still a lot of work to be done because there are still many students falling through the cracks. And with there are still a lot of them, we are not addressing the method of learning, which is the technical vocational aspect.
Okay. Thank you, Tal. You're finished, or did I mute you by mistake?
No, Miss, I muted myself. I'm done. Sorry.
Oh, okay, because I know someone else's mic was open and I was muting that person.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, well said, guys. So you both represented St. Lucia. So what I'm hearing from you, there's a keyword that came out from you, Tyler. You said copycat. It's sounded to me like you're saying, okay, we copy things from other countries, international countries, etc. But it's like on the other hand, you're saying we lack the resources to manage these new benefits, new landscape where we want to take our youth. Is that what you're saying? There's a lack of resources?
Some aspects, yes. I would say we lack the resources because you see, we go on board, we try to incorporate these things into our school system. But sometimes it is such that sometimes they do a test and most of the students still end up failing because the style that would approach it or whatever might not be the style that the children would absorb it. And sometimes I think that we put, I'll not say too much pressure, but I think sometimes these little minds, I mean, my daughter Miss is in kindergarten, and yes, she's one of those people that is supposed to be learning French and music and all these other things. But it's, I mean, the level it's at, sometimes, she'll be singing her little French songs and stuff. But the last time I was looking at her book, when they tested her grade in it, in one of the terms, it was not too high. But then as the term progressed, I saw that she improved considerably. So I remember back in the day when you went into preschool and kindergarten and those things, what you used to do, miss, is read a little something there. It's just time to read. You sleep for some time because you're just coming out of the preschool stage more or less. So you're in stage 1, kindergarten, pre-K. You know, they just really getting you in. But I find sometimes now I feel they're putting too much pressure on the students. And the pressure sometimes is not only on the students, it's even more so on the parents now, who some of them, their literacy level is less than that of their children. And you find sometimes that parents have to teach their kids, especially COVID taught us a very valuable lesson, that all of these stresses and stuff, it was stressing out so many parents.
Okay, I agree. Even the teachers, you can't leave out the teachers. They are the ones especially under pressure because they are given the curriculum and say, look, you better teach this. We are copycatting. I still like that phrase, copycatting from other persons. Please make this happen, especially in the private school. I know in Jamaica. There was one hand up. I think Josephine, do we still want to speak? And then we move on to one more and then we can close off.
Good evening. Yes, Miss, I would like to say something. I want to add to what Crystal would have said. It is not just about a lot of more subjects being added, like the first speaker said, or even that the vocational schools have been closed. I think the focus has shifted. So with all of these, all of the moves towards having more subjects, getting students exposed to more things, we've forgotten foundational skills. And I was happy she spoke about the pre-K and K levels, where we are now moving to test students. So the focus has shifted from mastery of skills and content to grades, which school is doing the best, which school has the best grades. So I don't see us as, I wouldn't say we've advanced. I would say that we've increased the knowledge base, the amount of information that is out there. But in terms of the teaching and the way students are learning, I think we are no further ahead than we were way back then. But that's my opinion based on my experience.
Okay, Josephine. Okay, that's taken. One last and Crystal Smith-Peter.
Good evening, Miss. I believe as well that things are changing. I know Tyler spoke about competition or copycatting, but I know that there are children. Right now, we basically speak 2 languages in St. Lucia. And I know there are of children that speak various languages. Now we have to understand sometimes the scholarships, the educational, the higher education comes in sometimes in a foreign land. So I agree that the French is being exposed at a primary school level because we already speak a broken French, which is patois. So basically the children just have to, I guess, learn the correct version of the actual French. Now, I think this is very important. We have scholarships coming from places like Mexico and other Spanish countries and French countries. That's why probably right now they've taken a stance. I don't know if all secondary schools have done it, but they've taken a stance to actually make a foreign language mandatory, like math and English. I know my son attends St. Mary's College and they've done it there. So they have 3 compulsory subjects, which makes it a bit easier for them to actually get the base amount of subjects to write the exams. So I think we are moving in that way where, I mean, there are quite a few people who have done scholarships in Martinique, France, Mexico, and we have an insurmountable amount of people, including our nurses, that have studied in Cuba, and these people are now bilingual or multilingual because they already knew the patois and the English and now the Spanish. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Crystal, for enlightening us on that. All right. One last question. I think this will go to one of group 1 member. You mentioned equality as a key area affecting youth. What do you mean by equality? On what basis? What are you referring to when you say equality? That's a bit vague there. So anyone from group 1 can go ahead and explain to us, what do you mean by equality? At the back of my head, equality for me would mean are both genders treated fairly, because in Jamaica you will find, and Jamaicans there might back me up on this, you will find 80% of our females are more exposed to like tertiary education, higher education. They go more after it, but when it comes to the job market, you'll find that a male version will get the better job, like the director job, those highfalutin jobs, than a female, even though 80% of our population would have females going to tertiary institutions. So in the back of my head, that is what I would expose equality, inequality. But I would need you guys to clear up that part. What were you referring to as equality when you say key areas affecting youth?
Hi, Miss. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Crystal, go ahead there.
Okay, Miss, basically it's in a nutshell, it's what you said. We're looking at same amount of rights for both genders, the same privileges, the same opportunities. So for example, we were not looking at where the female would get the better educational opportunity while the male get the better job opportunity, you know. So we're looking at everything being equal. We're being seen as half and half. It's not 50, it's not 60, 40 or 90, 10 or anything of that sort. So in a nutshell, that is what we will gear towards.
Additionally to what Crystal said, when we think of equality, you think of also the underdeveloped youths, not only gender. I work at a school that I would consider an underdeveloped area, and there are lack of resources as opposed to a more developed area. So you would find a lot more resources and opportunities in a developed area rather than an underdeveloped area. So in a sense, you would try to reach every youth regardless of their location.
Okay, all right. So when you mention equality, you were referring to location.
Yes, we refer to location, gender.
Okay.
Socioeconomic status.
Very good. Because in Jamaica, we have what we call traditional high schools, and we have those that are not so much the traditional high schools. And most of the parents, they try to get their children in traditional high school because they figure that when they leave school, they will get the better jobs and they will be more recognized and all the things that come with it. And as a result, these traditional high schools will get better resources. But I don't know, I've left Jamaica quite a while now. I don't know if I don't really hear a Jamaican speaking. I don't know if things have changed. Where now that they try to make everyone on an equal platform, but we know in life that is not true. The traditional high schools will always prevail. But a Jamaican can tell me if this is still in existence. They have what they try to upgrade the non-traditional high school and refer to them as comprehensive high, so as to give a more meaningful idea of. So someone wants to speak, a Jamaican?
Yes, Miss.
Go ahead. It's Tameen.
Yes, it is.
Go ahead, darling, and then we can close off if no one else has anything to share.
Well, I would say in Jamaica, you make reference to traditional and non-traditional, but I think it's three. I think it's elite, and then you have the traditional, and then you have the non-traditional, because when you look at like a Campion and Immaculate, they are separated from the other high schools in regards to placement and like the students that goes to those schools.
So they are now they are placed in the elite category.
Yes, I would say that's why I said you'd have the elite and then you would have
traditional and non-traditional.
and then right, because what I've seen, like
So
if you
these are the
gone
only two high schools that are now elite?
like in Kingston, if I'm referring to Kingston because I'm in Kingston.
Okay.
And based upon the educational system, when you go, I'm in that system. So when you go into certain high school, you just definitely see like one type of person, kids there, or they are from specific communities. So with you had said that they are now trying to make the play field a little level, but I'm saying I don't know how would they make it level at the same time when you still look at a Campion and an Immaculate, and if you go down a bit of St. Andrew, you'd not you when you go to a Campion, you see one type of people, they are the majority. But if you would go to a Excelsior, the majority would be like just the regular kids in Jamaica. You wouldn't see unbalanced or even equal.
Oh wow. I didn't know this this elite. There's now a third one elite. Okay, okay, I hope the class is not being bored by, but I'm just kind of biased a little bit about knowing what is going on in Jamaica, especially when it comes to our youths. So this elite, what type of students get in? Those that are in St. Andrew area, or is it this it's some racist kind of thing going on?
No, I wouldn't say it's racist, you know. But I think the kids with the higher grades will go. And then when you look at it really, when the ministry is giving a report, they give a report based upon primary schools. So even they will say the top performer is from X, a primary school, and you look at it and saying, well, for PEP, the top performer was a primary school child. No, it's not necessary because it's a government institution. They are going to take the grades from a government school to highlight that person as a top performer.
Okay, so if a child
student,
is coming from, we know, where Portmore, but as long as that student perform well, they will be able to go to Campion or Immaculate. That's what you're saying, it doesn't matter?
No, I think they will go with the grades, but I'm saying the primary school are the ones that the government, the ministry would highlight as top performers. They wouldn't they wouldn't highlight the students that went to prep school. So when you look into those schools, you find that it is mostly dominated by prep school students.
Exactly, right. Yeah, that's true.
So the prep school students are the ones that are going to those schools. You will find primary school kids there, but it is not equal.
Right.
It's not a 50-50.
So that the class understand what we mean by prep school. These
private.
Prep schools. My son used to go to Mona Prep, and that school fee was not easy. And I tell you that there are students who weren't performing up to the standard of Mona Prep, but they kept them there because their parents could pay for it.
Yes.
Right. So yeah. It sounds a little classes, but that's life.
And
what
that's
class in Jamaica?
Adding that it all boils down to affordability, because it will be like the prep schoolers and the Campion and the Hillel and the rest of them, their parents can afford to send them there.
Right.
As it relates to the regular Maypen Primary,
right,
and the regular, what's the other one? Windward Road Primary. It
okay,
will be up in terms of affordability. And then you have the class system where you have the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. And then that's how the stratification will come in based on who is at Campion or who is at Arden or who is at, what's the other one? The rest of them.
Campion, Immaculate. Is
Right.
Arden in the elite or just a traditional?
I think it's probably a traditional.
It has always been traditional.
Yes,
Okay.
and the rest are elite, as Tamil put it.
Okay, all right, thank you guys. All right, so that's what I wanted to clear up about the equality. That is what you mean by equality.
But can I say something?
Sure.
In terms of what you were talking about, traditional, elite, prep, whatever, what you have, most of these schools that are private, Miss, you muted me.
No, it's not me mute you, somebody else.
Somebody mute me, that was mute me. Okay, what I was saying is that a lot of these privately owned schools, it is the monies that the parents pay that actually is able to sustain the schools, and they don't really get much input from the government. In fact, if you were to look at the what do you call that? The thing that you use for teaching them, I forget. But the subject areas and a lot of
Tyler, I think
Yes,
your
yes.
background is a bit noisy. Probably that's why the person muted you by
Well,
mistake.
that's why I have so many things happening in my background. Let me see if I can- Okay, so yes, I was saying, I was listening to some prayer meeting thing there. Okay, so I was saying that I have had experience to go into one of the private schools that we have here on island. And the government doesn't have much input in a lot of these schools. It's the parents and the sponsors and the donors. They have committees, they have board of directors. Those are the ones who dictate sometimes what is on the syllabus, the course syllabus. They dictate on the structure of the school, how it is. For example, we inspected a school and the school had an internal auditorium where the children did gymnastics and all these other things. The other secondary schools in St. Lucia are not exposed to that. And a lot of what I saw in the school, it was just so different. And something else, here in St. Lucia, you find when most children graduate from secondary school, they will go to A-level, they'll go to SALCC, or some of them might go to university. But the children in those private institutions, they are actually groomed very early to go straight into scholarships or go straight to the universities out of state. Most of them do not stay here in St. Lucia. They do go to Canada, they go to Europe, they go to France and all other countries for them to continue their education from as early as age 15 and 16. So it's a completely different ball game. So that's why I suppose in terms of equality, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon.
Right. And I don't think it's going to get better because remember, money run this world. And like you said, it's the donors, the sponsors, the different networks that they can pull on, the partners that really run what happens in the school. And once the money is running, then the government has no say or don't really have much say. All right, guys, I guess we can end here now. If I don't know if group one wants to close off, or I think they closed off already. If any last word, anybody wants to say a last word, or we can just go ahead and end now. Very good, group one, you did very well. Learned some stuff here I didn't know before. Anyone wants to say a last word and then we leave? No? Okay, guys. All right, I'll post your first assignment. Don't worry about the deadline for assignments. I know some of you, well, I usually spoil my students. The final assignment, they already know what is there. So I usually spoil students in that sense. Don't be worried about if you're gonna have enough time and such. All right, so it's good night from me and thank you so much. I had 25 of you. I really appreciate you coming out. Please come out. Group two, I think Gwyneth is a part of group two. You guys presenting next week, you're taking that slot or you're gonna go with your official date, which is
official date, miss.
Okay. All right, so I won't see you guys next week since group one prepare themselves for tonight. I'll see you guys on the 22nd and we continue to move on. Any more concerns outside of the course guide, you can always post it in the facilitator student exchange, okay? Thank you guys and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.